Hey, baby.
The video game industry these days can be a fickle one. When a game is revealed to the masses, whether it be through an event such as E3 or Summer Game Fest, certain titles can be enthralled in the hype. We've seen it recently with Cyberpunk 2077, where the sheer hype was countered with an abysmal launch. While these events were originally intended to show shareholders where their next dividend was coming from, they've now become the events us gamers look forward to see where we'll be spending our collective hard-earned money in the future. Of course, not all games get out of the reveal phase, whether it's due to development hell, creative disagreement, or straight out cancellation. It has become clear that not all games get their chance to shine and fade into obscurity. I'm DeathKnell0 from Modern Origin, and these are 6 titles that faded into obscurity.
Now, for a more obscure game, more lesser known, was a cancelled Need for Speed game, in fact, which not a lot of people know about, known as Need for Speed 10 Terra 5, which was supposed to have come out for the Xbox 360 and for the PS3 in 2008. The game involved you racing for a terrorist organization called Terra 5, sort of like a watchdog situation where it involved a lot of corruption, cyber terrorism, but like, you know, something like the regular Need for Speeds. Instead, we got Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010, which is still a good game, but to be honest, I would have enjoyed something like this. It looks pretty interesting from a lot of the screenshots, because all we have at the moment are some HUD shots, some small videos, some promotional items, and some concept art of the game itself, which it really looks like something interesting. It really looks like it would have been ahead of its time, but I don't think Need for Speed wanted to be associated with some sort of terrorist organization, maybe at the time. Who knows? There's not a lot of information on this game, but I would have loved to see something like this, you know, driving around and hacking security cameras just like you do in Watch Dogs, but with, you know, no-name brands like, you know, Audi, Subaru, you know, having that sort of core Need for Speed arcadey gameplay, which, in my honesty, would have been absolutely amazing, but unfortunately never got to come out and would just sort of faded into obscurity, which is a real shame in my opinion. So hopefully maybe they revisit the series in another time.
A game that never fully made it out of development and still is considered vaporware is Star Citizen and its spin-off game Squadron 42, both being announced in 2012. Star Citizen itself is a combat sim and space trading game following in the footsteps of its predecessor Freelancer, released in 2003. Both games were set to be released in 2014, but due to constant delays, both games still don't have a release date. Star Citizen backers and people who have contributed towards the campaign get to experience little gameplay demos known as modules, but other than that, no actual gameplay has been received. Squadron 42 is a story RPG game set in exactly the same universe as Freelancer and Star Citizen itself, where you yourself are the protagonist in a really cool space-themed storyline. As of December 2020 though, there is actually no official release date for this game due to world events and ongoing delays, so we really don't actually know much about this game at all. The reason these two games are so unique in the vaporware world is the fact that a Kickstarter and crowdsourcing campaign has raised over 300 million American dollars to fund these two games. Billionaires, actors, you, me, every nerd and geek from society have literally put their hard-earned money into this game, and all people have received out of this are little modules and delays as to when this game is actually going to be released. This game has raised so much money, it even holds a Guinness World Record for crowdsourcing, not for how long it has been delayed. The game is so popular itself that Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, Gary Oldman, and Harry Henry Cavill, if you ever see this, I'm sorry and I love you. The game itself is so notorious and popular, Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, Gary Oldman, Henry Cavill, just to name a few, are some of the famous actors and actresses who have already put their names and voices to characters inside the game. We still have no release date, and we have no idea when we're actually going to get Star Citizen or Squadron 42.
Skull and Bones, Ubisoft Singapore's open-world pirate video game, wasn't on display at Ubisoft Forward this year. According to creative director for the game, that's because Skull and Bones had become something completely different than initially expected. Indeed, it seems Ubisoft has a new vision for the game, asking themselves questions on how do they modernize the pirate fantasy experience. Essentially, it would seem the developers have restarted the IP and are more than likely reshaping the game to fit into the current Ubisoft formula. While it may not work for some IP in the Ubisoft wheelhouse, it may indeed work for a pirate fantasy title where everything may indeed be permitted and nothing is sacred. Only time will tell, as we haven't heard so much as a peep about Skull and Bones since E3 in 2017.
Star Wars 1313 was meant to be an action, adventure, RPG, GTA kind of gritty Star Wars game that we never got to see from the production company of LucasArts. It was released at E3 in 2012, and we got a 6-minute long trailer filled with action, adventure. We got the whole underworld of Coruscant at our fingertips. There was not much Jedi or Sith intervention, and we got the main protagonist of our story, Mr. Young Teenage Boba Fett himself. As an older character in the original trilogy and a young character in the Clone Wars animated TV series, I think fans definitely would have really loved to get their little claws into this video game. Star Wars 1313 would have focused on the platform of 1313 in Coruscant. It was meant to be a GTA kind of style game where it's all based on the criminal underworld of Coruscant and other planets in the Star Wars universe. Bounty hunting and criminal enterprises were the things that kind of drove the outer rim places of the Star Wars universe, where Jedi and Sith really didn't have anything going for them. The game itself was produced by every department Lucas anything related: Lucasfilm, LucasArts, Skywalker Sound. But with the Disney takeover in January of 2013, that meant all production ceased and Star Wars 1313 was effectively cancelled. We didn't hear anything about it for years. There were always whispers on Twitter, a slight Instagram post somewhere from one of the devs, long forgotten, to be honest, until recently. Very recently, actually. In January 2021, LucasArts kind of got a little bit of a revival. We're hearing promises. We've got hope that 1313 might actually be a game again. But it wasn't until Season 7, Episode 5 of the Clone Wars animated TV series, when Ahsoka Tano visited Platform 1313 of Coruscant, where people really started to hope that this game actually might finally come out of development. The game itself had a full 6-minute trailer. We knew something was in development, but real Star Wars fans, we know hope is out there in that universe.
Now, if we are going to mention cancelled games, we have to, of course, mention the infamous PT, or the playable teaser for the amazing game Silent Hills that we all got a lovely look at. But this first-person psychological horror game, of course directed by the amazing Hideo Kojima and, of course, Guillermo del Toro, which was a big shock for a lot of people. Finally, two massive psychological horror minds coming together to create this amazing new Silent Hill game, which was going to reboot the franchise. This game came out on the PS4 around 2014 as a playable teaser, got announced at Gamescom 2014, and as we all know, the game never made it past the playable teaser stage. It just kind of faded into obscurity due to the unfortunate parting of Hideo Kojima from, of course, Konami due to internal conflict between the two. But in my eyes was a pretty good departure because it let Kojima go do his own thing. And each time the room would change and people loved that. They were finally getting this beautiful, beautiful horror game. But unfortunately, it is left to rot on the many PlayStations across the world, and that's all we will ever see of PT.
We've been waiting a long time for the sequel to Beyond Good and Evil, the action-adventure classic that originally released in 2003. Announced in 2008, after many delays and halted production, Ubisoft finally revealed at E3 2017 that a prequel was in the works, Beyond Good and Evil 2. The prospect of a new Beyond Good and Evil had seemed shaky for almost a decade. Ubisoft revealed a cinematic trailer at E3 2018, suggesting it would definitely be worth the wait. However, beyond that, we haven't heard much in the way of solid details about Beyond Good and Evil 2. How it will differ from the original, what will be the same, if it will have online multiplayer, when we'll actually get to play it. It has left many of us speculating whether or not the title has become stuck in development hell. So there you have it. 6 titles that faded into obscurity. Of course, this isn't all the games out there that have been lost to the ether. If you know any that we missed, drop them into the comments below. And who knows, we may do a commentary edition in the future. Well, that's it from us at Modern Origin. Of course, if you did enjoy the video, drop a big old thumbs up and subscribe with notifications to get all our new content as it drops. We really do appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and the support really does help. Until next time, I've been DeathNail0, you've been amazing, and this is 6 games that faded into obscurity.